Ka halal Yahweh Bashem Yoshai Bashem Rekha Kodash Brakta Yahweh Brakta Yahweh Shai Shalom. The honor to the elders of GMS Great Millstone. Shalom. Shalom to the elect of the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad. Greetings. Call ourselves the hopeful elect because we do not know who the elect are. And the elect will have speckled blood Israelites. What's that? That goes to Jeremiah chapter 12 verse 9. Israelites that look like the other nations but go back to the 12 tribes of Israel by the seed of the Father, the blood. So you will have Israelites that look like Chinese people, so on and so forth.
که شنیدید صدای متجاوز به خاک وطن، صدای متجاوز به صدای حق و حقیقت است. آنچه که ملاحظه کردید، صدایی که شنیدید، فضای غبارآلوده استودیو که شنیدید صدای متجاوز به خاک وطن، صدای متجاوز به صدای حق و حقیقت است. آنچه که ملاحظه کردید، صدایی که شنیدید، فضای غبارآلوده استودیو
یونس شادلو، سردبیر گروه دفاعی خبرگزاری صدا و سیما، در این چند سال در تمام عملیات‌های وعده صادق جلوه اقتدار ایران و شکست هیمنه رژیم صهیونیستی رو به تصویر کشیدیم. اینجا سازمان صدا و سیما، مرکز فرماندهی جنگ رسانه ایران و مرکز به قدرت کشیدن تصویر اقتدار ایرانی و ایرانی جماعت و شکست هیمنه رژیم کودک کش صهیونیستی. من نمیدونم چند تا از همکارام داخل بودن.
This is the book of Matthew, chapter 24, and verse 7. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. And we saw that when we saw that in the video with the lady, the Iranian lady giving the news, and next thing you know, boom, there was some type of impact on the dwelling place where she was, because Israel and Iran are at odds with one another, one nation against another nation, one kingdom against another kingdom. We see that with India and Pakistan. We see it with Russia and Ukraine. There shall be famines, pestilences, and earthquakes in diverse places, in different places. This is going to take place. This is the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 15, verse 16. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power, because they're able to do so. Sedition among men. Sedition means encouraging to rebel against an authority or a monarch, so to speak. So that's what they're doing on both sides for Israel and Iran, or even Russia and Ukraine. Invading one another, going into each other's territory to invade, to loot, to take somebody else's stuff. And they shall not regard their kings nor princes. They're not going to follow laws. They're not going to care what the laws say. They're not going to care what their kings say, their leaders say, prime ministers. And the course of their actions shall stand in their power. And we also see this in America with the so-called protesters. They're not listening to the so-called rules and regulations that the United States have commanded for migrants, illegal migrants, immigration, and so forth. So they're becoming seditious. They're sowing sedition among the men, amongst one another. We see the protesters and what they're doing because they feel that the United States government should not be deporting anybody and should let others come in. But that's not what the rulers of this nation want. This is the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 15, verse 16. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. Sedition, as someone is promoting to rebel against a power or a monarch or authority, among men, invading one another, not listening to their kings or princes. We see that in civilians. We're going to definitely see that in America because there are people that are protesting now against laws they feel are unjust because they don't want to follow those laws. They've decided not to regard their president, which can also be likened unto a king, and rebelling, promoting that sedition among the men. All right, we're going to go back a verse on 2nd Ezra chapter 15 and read verse 15. For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. That brings us to Matthew chapter 24 and verse 6. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. So all of this has to come to pass. What's going on with Russia, Ukraine, Iran and Israel, India, Pakistan, and so forth. What's going on in the United States of America. All of this has to happen, but the end is not yet. Brings us back to verse 7. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. Verse 8. All these are the beginning of sorrows. And we go back to verse 6. It's talking about the last verse, but the end is not yet, because we know that the RFID micro CHIP, which is the mark of the beast, has to be mandated globally in order, which is the hour M temptation, before Babylon is fully destroyed by nuclear missiles. So all of this has to happen, and it has to happen in this fashion as designed by Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. All right, this is the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 15 and verse 17. A man shall desire to go into a city, and he shall not be able. We're seeing that right now with the different wars and the different back and forth with the missiles. Different cities in America, different cities around the world, places that were a place for go to tourism to see something, but nobody wants to go there now, even though they wanted to go there because of the danger level. The danger level is extremely high.
Yeah, that Tel Aviv, that whole GAY parade, that thing got canceled. Man. These nations, they going at it. They fighting against another and all that, as the scriptures speak about. And these nations, they fight against each other now. But soon, different parts of the world, mostly America, you're going to see the people, one people shall stand against another. Civil war in America. The civilians fighting against one another. You're going to see the civilians invading one another. These nations, they're going at it. They're invading one another, these nations and all that. And they're fighting against one another, these nations. That's what it was going into, Russia, Ukraine, and Israel, Iran. Now here, see that invading one another, the civilians, pertaining to the civilians. But the nations are also doing that as well. They should not regard their kings. When these people do that, invading one another, during the time of Jacob's trouble increasing, they're not going to regard their presidents, their rulers, their leaders, their prime ministers, and all that. Their princes, and of course their actions should stand their power. 911, whatever you call for emergency services for this kind of thing, is going to be down. A man shall desire to go into a city and not be able. Different lockdowns and so on and so forth. If you don't have the MOTB, you cannot come in here. For edification's sake, what is the MOTB? The MOTB is an acronym for what? Mark of the Beast. The mark of the beast in the hand in Revelation chapter 13. Right hand or left hand is the RFID, CHIP. The mark of the beast in the forehead in Revelation 13 is the brain, CHIP. Give an example of the one in the forehead. Elon Musk's Neuralink. Say it like that.
It's the book of Job, chapter 9 and verse 24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? Okay, so the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. Who are the wicked? The Edomites. What did they do during the Renaissance? Covered the faces of the judges, whitewashing the history of Israel, birthing iconoclasm, birthing replacement theology. If not, where and who is he?
Come on, brother. Renaissance means what?
Rebirth.
So really, they was really birthing the iconoclasm.
Say one last one.
He did that. The judges, that's the Israelites. He covered the face of the Father, whitewashed that. The face of the Son, the angels, the Israelite men who are judges. He whitewashed their faces as well. He even did the women and children. Even though the women and children are not judges, but he did that to them as well. He iconoclasmed them. He birthed out a new image of them, which was a lie. He birthed out a new lie.
All right, this is the book of Joel, chapter 3 and verse 2. I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, Yahweh-Shaphat, that's meaning Yahweh's judgment, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, who are the apple of his eye, the Israelites, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. So in the book of Job, chapter 9 and verse 24, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked, and he covereth the faces of the judges. This is something else that they did. We were scattered amongst the world, and they parted the land, the holy land. They parted it. Some went to Muslims, some went to Israeli, some went to some other nations and so forth. And now they're all fighting for that land because they all want to be in control. But that land was never promised to them. So they're never going to have peace in trying to say who's supposed to be in charge of the land. Because as it right here, it says, I will gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, the valley that is Yahweh's judgment, for them to be judged, destroyed, executed, because Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai is fighting for his heritage, which is Israel, and who was scattered among the nations and parted my land. Yes, out.
Back up what the brother was saying, Zechariah chapter 12, verse 3. In that day will I make Jerusalem a burdensome stone for all people. You see that? The land of Israel is a burdensome stone. All that burden themselves with it shall be cut in pieces, though all the people of the earth be gathered together against it. Jerusalem is a burdensome stone in the land of Israel. It's a burdensome stone. See the promised land being a burdensome stone with the state of Israel. They're fighting over that state of Israel, that land over there, which is part of the promised land. All that burn themselves with it shall be cut in pieces, though all the people of the earth be gathered together against it. This is Zechariah chapter 2, 8. For thus saith Yahweh of hosts, hosts of going armies, Yahweh of armies, after the glory hath he sent me unto the nations which spoiled you. All these nations spoiled us, the Israelites, the apple of his eye. But he that toucheth you, toucheth the apple of his eye. Israelites, we are the apple of the Most High Yahweh, his eye. We are the apple of his eye, the Most High Yahweh. We are the apple of his eye. And who is the his? Yahweh.
All right, this is the book of Ecclesiasticus, also known as Sirach, chapter 39 and verse 1. But he that giveth his hand to the Lord the Most, his mind, Salakia, but he that giveth his mind unto the Lord the Most High, and is occupied in the meditation thereof, will seek out the wisdom of all the ancient and be occupied in prophecies. So as we continue to go forward and watch the prophecies unfold, we're going to continue to seek Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai and be mindful in the prophecies of what is to come and what's next to come. We know that the MOTB, the micro C hit mark of the beast, has to be mandated globally right before those nuclear missiles are launched and to destroy Babylon completely, where our Lord and Savior, our Redeemer, Yahweh Shai, with the angels will come and save the elect. Now, we don't know who the elect are, but by faith we call ourselves the hopeful elect. So this is what we're striving for through fear of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, faith in Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai.
There's precepts that back that up. 2 Corinthians 5 verse 11, use your temper goes into that. It's Rock 39, Spirit's credit for vengeance also goes into that. And what is fear? Fear is an unpleasant emotion caused by the belief that something or someone is likely to cause harm or a threat. Remember, Noah moved with fear. Yeah, so feed the lambs, feed the sheep as Yahweh Shai spoke about in the New Testament. After this was the third time he showed himself to his disciples after he was risen from the dead, when they was dining. He was like, Simon, son of Jonas, lovest thou me? And goes on. If you love Yahweh Shai, you're gonna feed the lambs, feed the sheep, feed the sheep. 3 separate points. The third time he showed himself to his disciples after he was risen. But remember, the first step to be accepted of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai is to what? Fear him. The fear of the Lord is the first step to be accepted of him, and wisdom obtains his love, as is written about in the Apocrypha. So if you want to be accepted of the Father, Yahweh, and the Son, Yahweh Shai, you got to fear them first. Didn't say love, you have to fear first. Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai wants you to fear him first, not love him first. So, and on that note, Shalom.
Shalom.
Ka halal Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai B'Shem Rekah Kodash Brakti Yahweh Shai. Shalom.
Shalom.
The honor to Elder G, my great millstone. Shalom.
Shalom.